Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another video where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either December 29th or 30th, 2020, and I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? I hope you all had a great Christmas. I had a halfway decent one myself. This week is not a great week for comic books. The week between Christmas and New Year's is kind of a dead zone for most things, and this week's comic books is no exception. However, there are some pretty decent books to be on your radar, so we're going to push forward with this week's video. First, let's take a look back at last week's pick, which was King in Black #2. Now, the question was, was this the best pick to be for my just one book pick, especially in a week where we had books that I love so much, like Something is Killing the Children, #13, which was really good, and I cannot wait to see what happens in issues 14 and 15. They are going to be awesome. I can just tell. I'm so excited about the next two issues of Something is Killing the Children. There was also Department of Truth #4, which I thought was really, really good. The moral ambiguity that is present in the Department of Truth is so compelling to me. I love reading that book. I highly recommend it if you aren't on board Department of Truth yet. But the pick for last week was King in Black #2. And was this a worthy pick? Yeah. Yes. I liked it. Now, I think Department of Truth might have been my favorite read for this week out of those three, but I don't want to take anything away from King in Black #2. There was a lot of excitement in issue #1. I mean, Null was here, and Null, was taking care of business. Issue #2 was basically starting to set up how the rest of the story is going to go, but in typical Donny Cates fashion, there were some exciting and interesting moments in this issue. Namely, you know me, I don't want to give any spoilers, but I will say there was a death, and I put death in quotes because, it's comic books. We all know how deaths go in comic books. But I read the editorial page at the end, and apparently this was a huge moment in Donny Cates' pitch for this King in Black storyline, was this death. So it'll be very interesting to see how that affects things moving forward. I thought it was a good book. But once again, I feel like it was a little bit transitional, so it wasn't like mind-blowing, but I still think it was a solid pick, and so I stand by it for now. I might have, in hindsight, I might have picked Department of Truth #4 instead, but I still like King in Black #2. Okay, so let's move forward with this video, and let's talk about this week's cover picks. Now, there are some decent covers that are coming out this week, and I could have listed some of the ones that I thought were okay, but this week I'm just going to focus on my one pick this week. And my one pick this week comes from The Amazing Spider-Man #55. Now, this cover is very simple. It is a profile of Spider-Man. It is a long line drawing done as if it was spider web. Very simple, not too complicated, not like, a ton of technique necessary artistically in order to accomplish it, although obviously a good amount, but nothing like extreme. But it is just so good. It is so simple, and it basically, it's just such a great image. I would dare say that it has the potential moving forward to be among the many iconic Spider-Man images that have been created. I think it's really, really good. I have not been collecting Amazing Spider-Man. I am absolutely picking up this on cover alone. I'm going to read it. It's the last part of the Last Remains storyline. I'm going to read it. I hope I enjoy it, even though it's the end of a story arc, because I'd like to get back into Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is really cool, and I'm hoping that this cover compels me to buy the book which will then compel me to continue reading Amazing Spider-Man. But this is so good. The only problem I have is this is a typical thing that happens a lot these days, is that they'll put out a really great cover with trade dress, and then some store will put out an exclusive, or some entity will put out a Virgin exclusive and charge 5 times cover price for it, and it kills the value to collectors for this one, because the other one is a limited edition Virgin that costs a lot more money. So if you want to, you could try to go out and pay extra money for the limited edition version of this. I'm going to buy this trade dress version, and I'm going to be happy with it. I think it's a great image, and that is why it is my cover pick for this week. Okay, now let's take a look at new books that are coming out this week. This is new books that have a #1 issue this week, new titles, as it were. The first one I want to mention is Ghost Rider Annual #1. Now, I find it interesting that they're calling this an annual. I guess it's kind of a one-shot story, because there's currently not an ongoing Ghost Rider title out there, but they're gonna maybe, I think they're launching a new one here with this annual. The part of the solicitation says, "The one you've been waiting for, the return of vengeance. Fan favorite Ghost Rider creators Howard Mackie and Javier Salteris return to the saga of the Spirits of Vengeance in an all-new tale as Vengeance brings his own brand of hellfire back to the Marvel Universe." Well, I don't know about you, but Ghost Rider is a super cool character, and I am always very interested in what's coming from Ghost Rider, so this might be something that you want to check out this week. The next book I want to point out to you is a King in Black tie-in. It is King in Black Iron Man / Doctor Doom #1. Now this one blows my mind a little bit. I'm going to read part of the solicitation. It says, "As Iron Man and Doom fight as temporary allies, their unexpected encounter both with each other and a horrifying inversion of Yuletide joy may ultimately reveal to them the true meaning of nullness." Well, 5 days after Christmas, a Christmas-themed story featuring Iron Man and Doctor Doom is coming out. And look very closely right there. Yes, that appears to be a nullified version of Santa Claus. Oh boy, I just do not know if this is for real. Is this 100% tongue-in-cheek? Are they taking this very seriously? It's a head shaker for me. I'm probably going to flip through it just to try to get a sense of it and maybe have a good little laugh. But it's coming out this week, something you might be interested in checking out just for pure entertainment purposes. The next book that I want to point out to you that has a #1 this week is a limited series. It is Transformers Escape #1. Basically, all you need to know about this is that it is a Transformers book. It is a limited series, and it is new starting this week. Something you might be interested in if you're a big Transformers fan. The next book I want to point out to you is Dark Knight's Death Metal, The Last 52, War of the Multiverses #1. That's a mouthful title. Dark Knight's Death Metal, as you all know, I'm into. It's winding up. It's getting down towards the end here. And this one, let me read a little bit of the solicitation for you. "What would it take to get every being left in the multiverse to side together in the ultimate final showdown? Total decimation and the complete undoing of all existence? The Batman Who Laughs has made his final move, bringing the most horrifying opposition to the battleground. And now every hero and villain left alive will stand to fight together." I have to admit, I like stories where the conflict is so big that heroes and villains have to put aside their differences and fight together toward a common goal. I like this kind of stuff. I believe this is part of what we're going to start seeing in King in Black as well. We're going to see a little bit of, and it was hinted at in issue #2. They're gonna have to enlist the help of some of the villains, and I like that here in this title as well. So I'm really interested to see how this story plays out. And we're getting closer and closer to the final battle, and I think that this is going to set it up, if not start it off. A book you might want to consider checking out. You're probably not going to check it out if you're not already into Dark Knight's death metal, though. The next book that I want to point out this week is Ginny Hex Special #1. Let me read a little bit of the solicitation. Ginny Hex stars in her first solo adventure, and she's ready and raring to go. Busting out of the pages of Young Justice, this fan-favorite gal is heading back home to take care of some unfinished business. I am cautiously optimistic about this book. I think that this could be fun. I don't know much about this character, but the little bit that I do know about this character, if I had a daughter, I would buy her this comic book in a second. She seems like a fun, great character for young girls, and I wholeheartedly support that. So if there is a young girl in your life, be it a daughter, a granddaughter, or a niece, or whatever, this might be a book you consider picking up for them just because it sounds like a fun one. The next book I want to point out to you is Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Dark Knight's Metal #1. This is another one of the Tales from the Dark Multiverse books that DC has been putting out, and as I've said with every other one, I like the concept. I like what-if books, and this is another one of those. Let me read a little bit of the solicitation. In the event-defining epic Dark Knight's Metal, the Justice League defeated the vile Barbados and his Dark Knights to save our universe from sinking into the abyss of the Dark Multiverse. But what if they failed? What if Barbados reigned victorious? Enter an alternate timeline where the DCU as you know it has been dragged down into the darkness. So like I said, I like what ifs. If you were a fan of Dark Knight's Metal, this might be a book that you want to pick up if you would like to see how events might have played out given different circumstances. The next book I'm going to point out to you is my final #1 book. And usually I have a #1 book that's kind of like my pick for this week for #1 books. And frankly, this week, I don't have one. Maybe it's Ghostwriter, but it's definitely not this one. This last one is The Devil's Dominion #1. It's intended for mature audiences. It says, Devlin St. Paul sold her soul to the devil to stop the horror being done to her by her brother. However, Devlin reneged on the deal and now uses her demonic powers to hunt others who are demon-possessed and have lost control of their lives. I was watching a video with somebody who mentioned that this sounded a bit like Spawn, and it does sound a bit like Spawn. If you like this type of thing, it might be something you consider picking up this week. But once again, I repeat, there's nothing this week, maybe other than Ghostwriter, that as far as a new title, that I'm immediately gravitating toward. So, yeah, I don't have a pick for one of those this week. Let's say Ghostwriter. What do you think about that? All right, let's talk about books that are the So You Know books. Books that I want to mention are coming out this week, and you might want to just know about them. So you know, Wolverine #8 comes out this week. Now, or Legacy #350. This book celebrates 350 issues of the solo adventures of Wolverine. The solicitation part of it reads, don't miss this special oversized issue celebrating Logan's history while kicking off the next arc and serving as a jumping on point for new readers. Will it be a jumping on point for new readers, or is it just the beginning of a new arc? Possibly. That could just be a lot of these things with these legacy titles, these like the 350 legacy anniversaries. I often just wonder, like, they're going to give you the story they always plan on giving you. They're going to tack on some kind of B story, maybe even a 2B stories, and then they're going to call it oversized, charge you extra money, and say, yeah, it's an anniversary, give us money. But I do like Wolverine. This title has been fine. I can't say that it's been blowing my mind, but there have been some really great elements and some not as great elements, but solidly good. Maybe if you haven't been reading Wolverine and you like Wolverine and you are looking for a jump on part this might be the week for you to jump on Wolverine with number 8. The next book I want to point out to you comes with our really kind of mini version of Time in Time that we are going to be having this week. And this week, Time in Time is one book, and it is Batman Annual number 5. Now, it seems like this is going to be, as it says on the cover, the origin of Clown Hunter revealed. And we've had some information about Clown Hunter's background hinted at towards us, given to us, through the Clown Hunter appearances in Batman. But it looks like now we're going to dig in deeper into the Clown Hunter character with this annual. It'll be interesting to see if Clown Hunter is here to stay. And I think we might be able to get some of that information here from this annual. I have mixed emotions about annuals. Annuals always felt like an excuse to sell an extra comic book every year to me. They seemed oftentimes to be standalone stories out of the main storyline. And this may have elements of that. We're probably going to have the Clown Hunter origin story rather than a story in the normal continuity of Batman. But that being said, you know, it's written by James Tynion IV. I am a big James Tynion IV fan, so I have faith that it will be a worthwhile read and will give us a little bit of a peek into the potential long-term future of Clown Hunter. But that being said, that ends Tynion Time. Now we're going to talk about my book, the book I would pick this week if I could buy just one book. And this week, that book is Avengers number 40. Now, you have never heard me talk about Avengers in these videos. And for me, Avengers just hasn't been a title that I'm particularly interested in. But this is a storyline that I am absolutely interested in. Let me read the solicitation for you. Enter the Phoenix. The infamous Firebird of cosmic destruction and rebirth known as the Phoenix Force has returned to Earth to find a new avatar. So now the Avengers and some of the most powerful heroes and villains in the Marvel Universe are being called into a competition unlike anything they've ever seen. A globe-spanning battle that will transform them all and ultimately decide who will be the all-new Phoenix. This is pretty cool to me. I like, similar to like when I said that I like when heroes and bad guys have to get together to fight a common goal. I like it when heroes have to fight heroes. Like one of my favorite moments in the MCU is from Civil War, where they're at that airport and they're all fighting each other. I just think it's so cool. The nerd in me just loves that stuff. So the nerd in me is super excited about Avengers number 40 and this Phoenix storyline that we'll be following. It's really, like, I'm a big X-Men fan, and so the whole Phoenix saga with Jean Grey from the X-Men has always been one of my favorite X-Men stories. And to think that the elements of that is going to be throughout the Marvel Universe and in this storyline, I think is pretty cool. The idea that everybody's going to have the Phoenix Force and be fighting each other in kind of like a Mortal Kombat, without the mortal part, I'm sure, kind of style tournament is I don't know, I'm really excited about it. I really think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I really think it could be really cool. And I'm interested to see if the Phoenix Force brings out new kind of abilities and powers and capabilities from heroes that we know well already. So is it going to take all of these awesome comic book characters that we have known for decades in some instances, and just amp them up, like turn them to 11 and really kind of make them even more badass than they were before. And then ultimately, like, what's the fallout of this storyline going to be? Who is going to end up having the Phoenix Force when it's all said and done, and basically, I guess, as a character, be changed forever? Now, one question that I have about this storyline is, how can this storyline be going on at the same time as The King in Black? I don't really love it when I feel like in the Marvel universe or DC universe, whatever universe we're talking about, there are two stories going on at the same time that seem to be in conflict with each other. I like a unified vision of the world being presented to me from, like, let's say Marvel, week after week after week. But this seems like an instance where we're going to have completely different storylines going on at the same time. I'm going to cut them a little slack. I'm going to let it go just because this is part of what they do. But at the same time, I have to kind of call it out and just kind of acknowledge the fact that we're on two different timelines, apparently. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they find some way to address that issue in the book, and I'll find out later. But regardless, I think, they've been having these Phoenix variants that have been coming out, and I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't 100% in the know that this was coming, and that's probably my own lack of information. But I'm excited to see that they were all for a reason. Oh, similar to how the nullified variants, those variants were coming out, and I was like, well, are these just kind of like for fun? But then there was a moment in issue number 2 of King in Black that kind of showed, oh no, it wasn't exactly just for fun. There's a story element to that as well. Similar with these Phoenix covers that had come out. But they look really cool, and I am very excited to see how this story pans out, and I will be buying all the Avenger titles that will be coming out. I don't know if it's a 4-part or a 5-part, but I'm going to buy the whole thing because it's going to be a story that I'm really excited to read. And so for all those reasons, that is why Avengers number 40 is my pick this week for my Just One book. As always, you let me know, am I a crazy person? Should I have picked Batman Annual number 5? I mean, I think that's the closest contender to this for me. Or do you think, oh yeah, I'm totally stoked for this Avengers run. This Phoenix tournament sounds amazing. Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, on a very light week like this, I'd be interested to know if there's any books coming out this week that you are particularly excited about. If you like this video and the information that I presented in it, I invite you to please hit the like button. It's always appreciated when you do so. And if this is the first one of my videos that you're watching, welcome. Thank you so much for watching this video. I invite you to hit the subscribe guy and make sure to hit the notification bell to get informed when I put out new videos. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.